So I've met a ton of leaders of organizations and departments, divisions, and they have this one big problem. So many of them do, anyways. They're on this treadmill where they're working more and more and more, usually putting out all kinds of fires that are going on every day. And but they're not accomplishing more and more, and they feel like that. And profit margins sometimes are getting narrower and narrower, or they can't hire the people they need, or maybe they're losing too many people. Could be any of those things. You know, it's frustrating. It's exhausting, and it's just not right. You and your business weren't created to operate that way. So, at Arena Success Group, our system is called Surviving to Thriving. And what we do is this three-step system, because the first thing we need to do is get you some time. We use something called Daymaster. It takes a very short amount of time to train you how to use it and set it up for you. And then everybody who participates in this meeting, and yes, it's a morning meeting, but don't confuse it with a morning huddle, and it won't take very long at all, usually 8 to 12 minutes. Um, you're Everybody who participates is going to gain 4 to 9 hours a week. And then, before you just take those 4 to 9 hours and you go put out more fires, we grab that and help you clarify. We call it Focus Master, and clarify what the business is about, and get it on the front and back of a single sheet of paper, and that way you can actually use it day in and day out, what you're doing and all that. And then once you're focused on what you're doing and how you're measuring success and those types of things, drive that through your whole organization. It'll align everybody, get things moving for you. And then we use all that. First of all those things put together will help you retain more employees, because they're going to like working there, because who wants to work somewhere where you're running on a treadmill but not actually going anywhere, and so that helps. But then we have something called HR to team, to glue your team together and keep people so much longer and have them help you. They become your best recruiters. So, I know what you're thinking. That sounds great, because a common goal is for us to increase profit margins 20% and increase uh, decrease turnover 20%. But even if those things sound great to you, that's not really why. You should maybe work with Arena Success Group. There's another reason, and I'm going to just tell you about it now. I'd like to tell you a story. It'll take just a few minutes, but it's 2003, and I'm sitting in my brand new van. That's how I remember what year it was. In the deserted parking lot of a state park. State parks in Ohio are pretty empty in February. And I'm sitting there, and my wife thinks I'm at work. Everybody at work thinks I'm out trying to sell something, and I'm there all day. Most of the time crying. It was a mess. I was miserable. Now, I had no reason to be miserable. I'm sitting in a brand new van that I paid cash for. I lived in a brand new house that I and my wife had just moved into the year before. I was partners in a business that wasn't great, but it was a good business. And I had three wonderful, healthy children between the ages of 12 and 2. And I was married to a drop dead gorgeous blonde that I'd been in love with since I was 18. So what the heck was the problem? Well, the end of the day comes, my wife wonders where I'm at. She called me. I would come home finally. Tried to make the evening as normal as it could possibly be. And that night, everybody went to bed. I sat in my dark living room trying to figure this out. And I just said, there has to be people. Some people don't, they're thriving, and I knew it. I needed to learn what was the difference between surviving and thriving. I needed to have a life that was an adventure, because my wife deserved a better husband than this. My kids deserved a better example of how to live than this. My employees, they deserved a better place to work than what I was giving them. My partners deserved a better partner and a better business than this. I needed to change. And that's when I started this passionate seeking out of the knowledge and what makes the difference in that life. And now I tell people, it's 18 years later, now I tell people all the time that I have a great life. I can't imagine anybody on the face of the earth who has a better life than me. So what's the difference, well, I've learned a few things. Now, I don't know near everything. Nobody does. But I've learned, and I've made a lot of mistakes that I would love to help people avoid. But I've learned that there are 5 keys that make the difference between surviving and thriving. And then what was really amazing was when I learned that the keys are the same for an individual or an organization. And that really makes sense because organizations are just groups of people. And despite all the technology and the machinery, if you get the people, the people machine, the human machine, if that's working right and those processes are going well, they'll fix everything else. So that's why surviving to thriving works. But why did I start this business? Is because I believe there's employers out there who want to give their employees a much better life. And you know, employees, they spend like 8 hours a day. It's probably more time at work than they do with their wife, at least awake, or husband. And if we make their jobs a lot better, one, they'll stay better, it'll make everything else better, and two, it makes their lives a lot better. So if you have a business and you feel like you're on that treadmill of working more and more and accomplishing less and less, or maybe you have turnover, you got to increase profit margins, but in the end, you really care about your employees, maybe you ought to give Arena. That's what Arena Success Group's all about.